Howdy, my dudes. Random Fight Fan here. We got another fixing my build. This one's Damn Donovan. And I kind of went through this one a little bit, and the gear is pretty much stellar. The issue here is kind of a technique-wise, where you're not quite making use of your skills. The skills themselves are a little bit off, and the tree for sure is needing a little bit of work. But first things first, we'll go through your bossing setup here, your little video. I'll have the video of the mapping going in the background at a later point, but here with the bossing, I'm going to point out a few things that are kind of important to show off. So first things first, he's got the setup there. He's got Orb of Storms, but you can see he's got no Rage. And having Orb of Storms with Font of Rage is pretty much the only reason to even use it. So right there, he's not really taking advantage of it. You'd think maybe he was using it to get the non-critical hits going, but as you can see on the tree that he does not even have Moment of Truth in there, so there is no real reason to have Orb of Storms going at that point. You could say it's for stacking up Trinity, but you don't really need to. Now, going here first, you saw how he initially opened up with Infernal Cry here, and then immediately Spear Stabbed. That completely got rid of the buff, so you can see when he uses the buff here, it's got the buff meter right there at the bottom, but as soon as he stabs, it goes away, and so you're losing a monstrous amount of damage that you should have for your Wind Serpent's Fury, and instead you're using it on a pretty useless Spear Stab. That is a massive, massive damage loss right there. Also, he does have a Tangle Tongue with a Rage on hit enchant, so he's not going to be losing this Rage, but if you did not have that, using the Infernal Cry at the very start would be a waste as well. Now, as you can see, he just goes and spear stabs, spear stabs, spear stabs, and he's only getting fire and cold resonance because he's got fireballs on his cast on critical and frost walls on his cast on critical. He's getting no lightning because he's not even throwing his storm lance, which is incredibly important to do. You can see that he's finally got his Ignite, Chill, Shock going there, but for a decent chunk of the stabbing, he did not even have the Shock going. He had a very small Chill going, no Ignite. So there's a real good chance that you weren't going to get any Commiserate damage off as well. And then as you see, you went Spear Stab, Spear Stab, Spear Stab, and then you toss out your Wind Serpent's Fury here. It did okay damage, a little over 10 million. But another big thing to mention here is on your Wind Serpent's Fury. Okay, Pablo. On your Wind Serpent's Fury, wherever it is on here, you are using Pursuit, which deals more damage if you used a range attack recently, which is where the Stormlance comes in, but you're not even using it there. You really need to toss out your Stormlance first. So as you can see, about 11 million damage after the Wind Serpent's Fury, and yeah, he's still just kind of rocking. He's getting lightning resonance and fire resonance now with Stormlance out there. He's obviously not getting cold because the frost walls have already run out. But here's another point. Because he is rocking with an evasion base, when the boss brings out his first attack, it almost one-shots him, and he needs to use Omen of Resurgence right there, so that is a big survivability issue. I know that Donovan was saying that he can take out tier 3 Zesht, since you can see this is only a 16 million health Zesht, but he cannot do tier 4, the 32 million one. So we are going to have a little bit of work cut out for us to fix that for you here. But as we stated there are quite a few things with your rotation to fix. Based on everything that I've seen, your damage would have got a lot higher if you had just done Stormlance. Because you do have the overcharged Commiserate tech there, which is already like 10% more damage as it stands. That is just a no-brainer that you need to put in there. It's going to stack up the Chill Shocking Knight better than Spear Stab, and it's going to allow you to get the other damage multiplier from your Pursuit, and yeah, it's just all around better. You're not going to lose your massive damage buff from Infernal Cry. Your first Wind Serpent would go from about 11 million there to probably in the mid-20s, just with that change alone. Like, it's pretty big right there. And then obviously you're using the Energy Shield base, which means that when we come into the stats here, you only have like a 33% fade chance, with 4300 energy shield. You're going to be getting hit by everything, which is kind of leaving you ready to get stun locked, which will be kind of rough in maps. And it will also bring your survivability down in bosses, unfortunately. You can take a bigger hit than someone with Hurries and no energy shield, but Hurries will allow you to take many more hits. With that said, though, we are going to give comments with keeping this chest in mind. I do think that this is not required. That big spirit is kind of nice, but really you can make adjustment elsewhere and not even need that spirit at all. You have like 30 something extra spirit. You got 71 extra spirit here on the boss, so you're literally not even using it. While mapping, I noticed that you have 41 extra spirit, so really the chest piece is being used a little bit while mapping and is absolutely not necessary at all. So now, another thing that I noticed here is really big, and it's with how much you're spamming on your cast on. You can see how the mana bar is just chunking so unbelievably fast that you don't have consistent uptime on your skills. That is because you're using impetus and energy retention on cast on critical, and cast on critical is now casting multiple times a second, more than it needs to. Yeah, just drop those entirely. You do not also have I can't remember the name of the support, the one that gives you faster cooldown to make your sniper's mark cast more often and your frost walls. It is incredibly essential on your cast on critical to bring up the utility of those two skills. Also, Orb of Storms, yeah, just straight up drop it. Its big thing is getting the Font of Rage, but you are not using it. Now, that is a pretty long breakdown of what we saw in the video here, so we're going to rapid form this here with the gear. I know the Path of Building link isn't showing the stuff right now, but you can see with the Tangle Tongue Spear, it's a Rage on hit one, which is really good. It's got a nice big flat percent to crit chance. You're at a damage level now with having the Hoa gloves and two really good rings with Ingenuity and Sacred Flame that you will actually be better off to get a crit damage Soul Core on here. You'll also get more damage if you had just flat damage or a corrupted crit or two sockets on the Tangle Tongue. With that said, though, because you're not completely one-shotting bosses, having that 30 rage up all the time will be a really nice quality of life buff for you. You have an incredible helmet here. You have an incredible Sacred Flame, really good beacon, really, really good rings. Even your chest piece, even though I don't think it's best, I think Hurries would be better for this because it just synergizes so well with Deadeye that you'd be better off using that. But you still have a really, really nice chest piece here with huge spirit and everything. You're trying to make use of the Hoa. It's not showing right here, but this is his skill tree slightly configured just with the attributes and damage and resistance numbers, all that jazz. But as you can see, it's a little bit scuffed here. I'm going to actually close this right now because when you compare it to the tree that I do comparatively, without changing any gear or anything at all, I just got him 1.2 million flat damage with the exact same configs, slightly more energy shields, and the same kind of defensive stats all over the place. It's a no-brainer to go this way. So we're going to close this original one. We'll come back to this later. But yeah, we've gone over everything, essentially. Even the boots are great. The one thing I need to point out is he's got kind of, sort of-ish low attributes. This is kind of right around what he had. He had like 240 and 205 decks there, but this isn't fully accurate. It's got a couple of glitches with Path of Building right now, but, you know, just it's worth mentioning. He does also have the proper percent increased charges on a Mana Flask, so there's really nothing to talk about with gear other than changing out the chest piece for Freeze Ire and maybe potentially swapping out for like a crit damage Soul Core on here. His gear is in great shape. We don't need to worry about that at all. His jewels are surprisingly decent as well, but they have a lot of room to grow for sure. Like, this is a crit chance one. This has crit chance. This one does not. This here's a really good time lost. So, This Viper Do could easily be improved with something with crit chance on it. This has the man on kill, which is nice, but the damage recoup is life, and the cold damage are kind of useless. So like, there's a lot of room for these to improve, but they're pretty solid. And with getting slightly better jewels will actually bring you a long way. With the slightly new tree, you'd need like a 10% crit chance roll on it, and then you'd be crit capped again. So it's not even asking too much to fix it. Now, with all that said here, like, don't worry about the gear, but your skills need work. So first things first, your spear stab, it's kind of destroying your build because it's consuming your infernal cry, and you don't even need the rage support on it because you have the corrupted rage on your spear. The only thing you're going to be using the spear stab for is building up tailwind stacks whenever you like. But yeah, this here is like literally cutting your damage down by more than half, unfortunately. And yeah, your damage will just be massively, massively better by tossing out a single Storm Lance, because with the overcharge on it, it's going to give you another 10% shock of magnitude, which is 10%, well, 50% shock magnitude, which is 10% more damage, which is already kind of like a small support gem onto your Wind Serpent. Okay, here we go. The colors are throwing me off. I'm expecting this to be green, but yeah, if you can just dial in your rotation, it will make a world of difference. So straight up, ignore Spear Stab. It's destroying how you're doing bosses, and yeah, it's really just distracting you. Your number 2 would be on your Wind Dancer here. You don't have Unbreakable or Energy Barrier, which are 2 incredible supports for it, because Unbreakable makes it less likely for you to be stunned, and Energy Barrier makes it so that when you do get stunned, your energy shield just starts generating right away. It's an absolute no-brainer to put on Wind Dancer. It's incredibly good. It's going to be better than Punch Through or Arm's Length, even better than Maim, even though Blind and Maim are pretty good on it. But I don't think it's required at all for you. Other good ones on there, I'd say put at least one of Reach or Magnified Effect on there, because having bigger AoE on Wind Dancer is wonderful. I think those are the first few things that you should really do. So like Unbreakable, Energy Barrier, and then at least one of Reach and Magnified Effect on here. If you're going to leave one, leave Blind or Maim and just ignore the rest. Your cast on critical, like I said, energy retention, impetus, they're kind of destroying you. Also, your fireball is going to stack up fire resonance really fast. It'll overwhelm the other resonances pretty easily as well with how often it hits. And I don't think it's needed because you have a really good Sacred Flame. You got fire damage on that ring, not on that one. Like, you might still need a fire skill because you're getting so much lightning from your Hands of Wisdom in action, and not from this ring kind of thing. But like, maybe if you put like adds flat fire damage instead of lightning damage onto your tongue, it would balance it out, and then you wouldn't even need fireball on your cast on critical, which would help balance it a little bit more. But since you seem to be able to spam your mana flask a little bit to keep it up, it might be okay, but you would much rather use those charges on your mana flask on Wind Serpent. I don't really see a way to really get around that other than, doing the thing that apparently came out where you can glitch it and have two mana flasks to get extra effect out of Ambrosia. But with that said, I don't want to get you depending on a glitch, especially when you very obviously still need your life flask. So that is your Spear Stab and Cast on Critical being fixed right there. On top of getting rid of these 2 skills, you really need, like I said, for Sniper's Mark is the cooldown, and then Spell Cascade for Frostwall. Spell Cascade is extremely good for Frostwall. It actually makes the cold resonance go up. It, I think, triples how much resonance you get. It's really, really good. Now for your Trinity here, this one you don't really see until you come into the skills here. The Trinity is only level 22. Get it to level 23 because this here is still the old version of Path of Building, so you won't be able to see it. But at level 23, it gives another 1% more elemental damage per 30 resonance. And since you could very easily get 3 of your resonances to 90. That is 9% more damage. So you're going to want that to a level 20 Trinity for sure. Finally, you got your Stormlance and your Wind Serpent's Fury set up very, very well. You just need to use your Stormlance to take advantage of everything that you have. If you do get a 6 slot on Stormlance, I'd say put Blind in there because it's really nice, especially if you get Hurry's Ire. If you don't get a Hurry's Ire, it's not as required, but you could put something else in there for utility. Just going through the skills of whatever you have, just put whatever you like, but I think Blind would be a really good one, so it's consistently up against bosses. It's what I personally use and what I personally like. Now, your tree here for a quick look through, you kind of came through, this here seems to be, I don't know why it's glitched, but it's showing a little bit of a different pathing, but you're getting the idea of kind of what he did. He pathed around and snuck in this way to get Harness the Elements and came down and around and back up to get Ingenuity and a little bit more Energy Shield, but that was inefficient pathing for sure. And so here is a better version of the tree, the one that I showed you with like about 20 or so % more damage. And that's without changing any gear, moving anything around. All I did was I took off all this pathing you did all the way up here for Ingenuity, and I took advantage of what you already have, because you have a Time Lost Emerald here with 24% increased effective notables, and then you also get Radius gives another bunch of crit chance, and then damage with spears and lightning damage, and it hits all of these nodes. And I know you're not going to take advantage of the attack speed with quarterstabs, or the attack rating with quarterstabs with crit damage with quarterstabs, but you're definitely going to take advantage of that 25 dexterity and the 6% crit chance for attacks that you get from your jewel, and you're going to enjoy pumping that with a 24% increased effectiveness. So it's literally giving you the same as Ingenuity and the Intelligence node here without having to path all the way up to it. And yeah, it's just taking advantage of what you already have, because you have a very surprisingly good Time Lost jewel here. Yeah, don't waste it, essentially. I then brought your pathing up here. I got rid of your pathing to Harness the Elements because unfortunately it was just a few too many points for you. Obviously, you lost 2% crit chance because we are no longer coming to Careful Assassin, but that will be fixed very easily just by, probably not this jewel, yeah, this one here, getting one that's just recover 2% mana on kill and some crit chance, and then if you wanted to keep that Energy Shield chest, you could get Energy Shield on top of it. It's not too expensive for those 3 rolls. You might be dropping like a div, but you can get a really good jewel, and 10% would cap you out on crit chance again, as you can see. And then came up all the way around here. We went for Critical Exploit instead of Careful Assassin, so you get a little more crit damage out of it. We hit Mending and Insightfulness so that we could keep pumping your Intelligence to go with your Hands of Wisdom and Action Gloves, and also give you a little bit more Energy Shield. We came up here for the Echoing Frost, Thunder, and Flames to give you huge amounts of increased elemental damage. Like, this here is definitely a way for you to pump a lot more into your build. Now, some off-topic things here, like the Hands of Wisdom in Action, they do give a lot of damage. Your gear is not focused around attributes. As you can see, you got some decent on your chest piece, but like you got none in your helmet. The amulet that we're using doesn't have any, and only one of your rings has any attributes. So like, you're not an attribute stacking build, so you won't make the most out of the gloves, but they're still incredibly good. And to show how good they are, here is my really, really incredibly good pair of rare gloves. And you can see that the damage actually goes down if I were to put those crazy good rare gloves on. So Hands of Wisdom in Action, for a damage-only perspective, is quite good. But there is a caveat to that, in that it's the attack speed scales quite high for the damage on here, even though it really doesn't affect your damage at all. As you can see, attack speed adds a huge amount of damage, so it's kind of incorrectly calculating for you. This is, I think, 10% Uh, yeah, per 20 decks. So you're at 9% increased attack speed there, which is those three nodes essentially. Uh, and it's whatever. It's really not that big of a deal, but as you can see, how you go from about 7 million to 7.5 million. That's giving you about a 500,000 DPS on your meter. That isn't quite true. Uh, so yeah, don't value attack speed too much. It might give you a little bit of quality of life, but as it stands, I do think you have everything set up so that you can have a great build. It's just you need to fix your tree first. Your tree was very inefficient. I will Actually, I'll just show you exactly what it was on here. There we go. Okay, so this was your tree before, so that we don't see the weird version that was in the website there. As you can see, it's quite a bit inefficient. So to be straightforward on what I changed, I got rid of the nodes from Coming Calamity, and I know you probably quite like that 50% increased lightning damage while affected by Herald of Thunder, but you do have a lot of other damage types. Your electrotherapy was doing very little for you. It's just a little bit of increased lightning damage, and you're not using electrocute. We dropped all this harness the elements pathing, and we brought you up here to connect this way, and brought you blinding strike, and then we dropped all of these pathing nodes. We still came up for throat seeker, then we dropped all of those nodes. So in this whole swap, you are losing one jewel socket, which is unfortunate, but you're gaining all of that damage, a whole bunch of just straight raw damage. You're staying closer to home essentially, and this here will also allow you to flip-flop to Harizar if you do end up going that path. So that is my take on what your build is right now, but as you can see, we did not lose any energy shield or effective hit points or anything. You are, yeah, you're going to be a lot better with this setup. But yeah, that's everything. I hope that helped you out, Donovan. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. And if you did, like and sub. And if you didn't, don't. Either way, appreciate you. Hope this helped. See you, dudes.